Good morning. I hope you are all doing very, very well. One of concerns that has been raised over the years in the Chief Examiner's Report of West African Examination Council is the student unencouraging way of writing arts appreciation. And this video is to help you to be able to write a good aesthetic appreciation. Have you ever tried to describe a work of art to another person? What are some of the things you look at when you look at an artwork? Learning how to talk about works of art are as important as producing the artwork. Learning to see, understand, and talk about a works of art are required of you. And this takes some skill, and it comes by guidance and constant practice in aesthetic appreciation and criticism. And so, this video lesson will take you through how to do it. And we are going to look at what aesthetic appreciation is, the importance of aesthetic appreciation, the steps involved in appreciating work of art, the aesthetic theories. Then we'll also look at two samples of some work, how you'll be able to write on them. We are going to try our hands on it. Now, let's look at what is aesthetic appreciation. Art appreciation is an intelligent discussion about works of art. It is the full awareness of all the good qualities in what we see, read, and hear about a work of art. It involves silent and deep thinking about the works of art. Art appreciation is the knowledge and understanding of the universal and timeless qualities that identify all great artworks. The more you appreciate and understand the art of different areas, movement, styles, and techniques, the better you can develop, evaluate, and improve your own work. Now, you may say, so what is the importance of art appreciation at all? Art appreciation is extremely relevant for multiple reasons. One, let's look at them. One, it is a good way to understand the history behind the work and the period from which the piece originated. Artists reflect on the problems that they face and the issues of society in their work. By analyzing and putting ourselves in the mind of the artist, we can better understand how society was and compared to now. Two, art is meant to stimulate thoughts and conversation between its viewers. By reflecting on a piece of art, we delve into our own experience and reminiscence. Thus, a piece of art means something different to every person that comes across it. So art appreciation helps open up the mindset of the people by listening to different perspectives and views as well as interpretation of the art. And it encourages thoughtful conversation and the understanding that there is more than one approach to everything. 3, for many people, art is meant to express something that we ourselves feel unable to express or convey. Through its visual medium, it evokes feelings of joy, sadness, anger, and pain. That is why art appreciation is so important in bringing that one final element to complete the work, and that is our interpretation. Our perspective brings the artwork to life as it changes every person around us. It is important to foster art appreciation and analysis, as it helps us value the art in how it appeals to us and what it means to each person. It delves into the history and the story behind the art, as well as a look into the lives of the artist. It enables one to critically analyze a work along the lines of design, mastery, and techniques. 4. Most importantly, art appreciation stimulates thought and analysis, provokes an individual to look past what meets the eye and open our mind to the views of others. So, let's look at the steps involved in writing aesthetic appreciation. And there are 3. First of all, you need to describe. You need to analyze. Then you need to interpret. Let's look at the describe. When you talk about describe, we mean, what do you see? What do you see? That is the first step. What do you see in the work? During this step, you will collect information about the subject of this artwork. List all the information from the credit line. Most credit lines contain at least 6 facts. They are as follows. The first one is, you need to talk about the name of the artist. Then secondly, the title of the work, the year the work was created, medium used by the artist. This is the material used to make the art. If more than one medium is used, the credit line may read mixed media. Then you have to also talk about the size of the work. The first number is always the height. The second number is the weight. And if the work is 3-dimensional, the third number indicates the depth. Then you have to also talk about the location of the work. The location names the gallery, museum, or collection in which the work is housed, or the city, state, or country. These names of the donors may also be included. Then you have to also talk about the subject of this work. When you are describing, you have to talk about the subject of the work. Now, the second point, which is analyzing. How do you analyze it? When we say analyzing the work, what do we mean? We mean, how is this work organized? How is this work organized? Now, let's look at how you analyze. First of all, you need to ask this question. How are the elements and principles of art organized? This step deals with the work's composition or formal qualities. In it, you note the art elements used as well as principles that organize them. I hope you have not forgotten your element and principles. Good. What is the relationship of the element to one another? When you are analyzing, you need to look at the relationship of the element to one another. Then how are the shapes arranged in this work, the shapes that you see in how have they been arranged? Then what is your view about the entire composition? Your own personal view about the entire composition. You need to talk about it. What colors are used? You need to talk about the colors that have been used also. How does the place where the work has been mounted affect its appearance or color scheme or etc.? So all these things, as you talk about them, then it means you are analyzing the work. Then the third point in aesthetic appreciation is the interpretation, or is to interpret. When we say interpret, what do we mean? You need to ask this question: what message does this artwork communicate to you? During this step, you answer the question, what message does this work communicate to me? In interpretation, you explain or tell the meaning or mood of the work. It is here that you can make guesses. Guesses, which is very important about the work. As long as they appear to be supported by what you see in the work. Use your intelligence, imagination, and courage. Don't be afraid to make an interpretation that is different from someone's view. After all, our views are not the same. You are different from other people. Your interpretation will be influenced by what you have experienced and seen in your life. Your interpretation can be based on your feelings, but your feelings must be backed by the visual fact and clues that you collected during the first two steps. The socio-cultural traces in the work must also be talked about. Now, in writing aesthetic appreciation, we are guided by certain theories, 3 major theories. And so, let's look at them. They are imitationalism, formalism, and emotionalism. When we talk about imitationalism, which is also called literal qualities, they are the realistic qualities that appear in the subject of the work. For instance, if the artist depicts a realistic figure of a man on a horse, the literal qualities of the work are the images of a man on a horse. Now, let's look at the formalism, or what is also called the formal qualities. The formal qualities, or the organization of the elements of art by the principles of art, are found when you look at the composition of the work. Ask this question: does it look balanced? Is there a rhythmic quality? Is there variety? Has the artist made unified work of art? These are the types of questions one must ask to determine how well organized work is. Now, when we talk about the emotionalism or the emotional quality, okay, now let's look at the last theory, which is emotionalism, which is the expressive qualities, or those qualities that convey ideas and moods, are those you notice when you study the content of a work. Is there something in the work that makes you feel a certain emotion or convey an idea to you? This is the question you ask yourself when you are looking at emotionalism. And I repeat again, the question is there something in the work that makes you feel a certain emotion or convey an idea to you. So, from what we have learned so far, let us try our hands on two artworks. First of all, we are going to look at a textile work. Then we also look at a painting. Now, this is the artwork. Florence Eson, a Form 2 visual art student of Methodist Senior High School, produced this textile work with the title, The Struggle of True African Women, on 15th March 2022, using the stencil printing technique. The size of the work is 35 centimeters by 55 centimeters and can currently be found in the visual art department of the school. The work consists of two African women who seem to be struggling to make ends meet. This supposed struggle is represented by the heavy loads on their heads. One of their hands holding heavy loads. Babies at their back and walking barefooted. Both women are carrying what seems like fruits and vegetables on their heads. Both women are wearing lemon green traditional dresses and carrying their babies with a brown cloth while holding pot-like baskets in their hands. The work has been flatly printed with no tonal gradation. The woman on the left side seemed to be carrying a bowl-like container with a heavy load of fruits and vegetables in it, with her head raised up a little and wearing a brown triangular earring. One hand seemed to be supporting the load she is carrying on her head. She is also wearing a brown bangle on her wrist. The lemon green headgear has been tied such that part almost covers part of the face. She also seemed to be wearing a brown scarf that almost covers her neck, shoulder, and back where the baby's face is, making the baby appear to be suffering and feeling uneasy. The woman is holding an oval-shaped pot-like object with her left hand and wearing a bangle on the upper part of the elbow. The inside of the pot-like object has been printed in a black color, and this makes it look like it's heavy, though it appears to be small in size. The woman on the left side of the work also seems to be struggling, as she appears to be carrying some form of foodstuffs in a bowl-like shaped container on her head and a pot-like object in her hand with a baby at her back. The pot object in her left hand also has a black puffed object in it, which makes it appear to be heavy, just like the pot object in the woman on the left side. The woman has some protuberances buttocks, which in a way allows the baby to rest comfortably on it at her back. She seems to be wearing a brownish belt. The scarf on her neck has been accentuated gracefully in a leaf-like manner, which projects at the front part of her dress. The rhythmically ring-like border design has united all the elements in the work. The combination of the lemon green color, brown, and black color has created contrast. of color in the work. The similarity and repetition of the figures and parts of the figures have brought about the principle of harmony and repetition. The proportionality of the figures, the white background of the work, coupled with a combination of lemon green and brown color, and the postures of the figures make the work more interesting and beautiful to watch. The activities in the work are typical of true African women. The work demonstrates an aspect of the life of African women. The struggling nature of the women in the work gives us an impression of the activities of true Africanism. The women in the picture suggest and give an impression of how African women struggle in their daily life to provide for their families. The picture is educating us on the need to work hard. The green color used for the dress of the women in the work suggests life, and it is also associated with the meanings of growth, harmony, freshness, safety, and fertility, which are all believed to be attributes of women in the African society. This work can be used as a wall hanging for interiors to add aesthetic appeals to the walls. Now, let's look at another work which was made by James Kudjo. James Kudjo, a contemporary Ghanaian artist painting titled Market Street, is depiction of everyday activities on the streets of the major cities across Ghana. The work is acrylic on canvas. The impasto painting technique was used, and it measures 3 feet by 5 feet. This work was produced in 2017. Born in the city of Takoradi, Kudjo's painting is heavily influenced by the relationship with his environment. His work shows an incredible range of motion. At a cursory look at Kudjo's work from a distance, one may see the images as real, but as one gets closer and have a thorough look, it's otherwise. The work is made up of mostly female figures with their usual routine at the market. And on both sides of the street are story buildings. Some of the women are carrying their babies on their backs, showing how Ghanaian women usually carry their children. A wheelbarrow, which is a common thing for carrying items in the market center, is also seen in it. Almost all the women have covered their hair with headgear, a common dressing in Ghanaian culture. The street is choked with human beings and vehicles fighting for common space. There is so much movement in the figures looking at the way they have been rendered. The white color mixed with almost all the colors to tint them down and also create highlight makes the work harmonize, since it makes all the colors share a common color. Also, the warm colors against cool colors in the work have created a contrast of colors. Size differences of figures, buildings, and cars in order to create perspective has brought about contrast of sizes. But linear and area perspective has been achieved, since all the objects in the painting recede to the horizon. Kudjo used the palette knife to thickly apply the colors with Kudjo used the palette knife to thickly apply the colors without blending and gave less attention to details, since Kudjo used the palette knife to thickly apply the colors without blending and gave less attention to details, hence creating semi-abstraction and impressionist style of painting. The impasto technique employed in the work has created textures Just like Ablado Glover, James Cudjoe's images reflect the everyday life in the cities and use vibrant, colorful, and energetic colors to transmit his message. Cudjoe is inspired by his love and respect for his mother, hence noted for capturing images of African hard-working women in most of his painting. His experiences as a boy who was selling to help his mother have affected his thematic focus. In this painting, Market Street is a vivid picture of what happens every day in Takoradi Market Circle. The work can be used as a decorative piece for interiors. So, I hope you have enjoyed the lesson. As I told you from the beginning, that it is one thing to produce a work, and it is also another thing to appreciate it or to write aesthetically about it. And it is also very important that you learn or you acquire the skill of appreciating a work of art. And this comes by constant practice. And so, continue to practice and take art's aesthetic appreciation as important as producing the artwork. I wish you all the best. Thank you.